Hello, hello, and good evening, everyone. What's up? We are live once again with Angron. So, good to see we have Yale hanging out in chat as well as Mark. What's up, my boys? We're going to be continuing on with Angron tonight, or Asgron as he became known yesterday. So, we're probably going to work on some metallics to start off. Have a nice, easy night. You know, it's Friday night, and we're going to be kind of chill. So we're going to do some of the iron metallics, and then, depending on how we're feeling, we might move on to something a little bit more interesting towards the end of the night. But yeah, let's start off with something nice and simple, just to ease us into this Friday night. I hope everyone is having a good beginning to the weekends. How am I doing, Guru? Or Yale, sorry. I'm doing okay. I had a pretty nice Thai green curry takeaway for dinner, so that was a good vibe. Now I'm enjoying a little glass of whiskey with my Angron. So, we are going to commence work with a little steel base coat here. So what we're using is, we got gunmetal here from Ammo Mig. Nice little bottle. It's a solid dark steel base coat for what we're going to be doing. So let's kick it off. We all hanging out for the vibes? Anyone else doing any hobby this evening? Guru, you're probably painting Angron, right? Mark, I assume you're still probably working on flesh hands. You ate cereal for dinner. Hell yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of fun yesterday, putting together some cool tones and things like that. So we're gonna try and build on those yesterday. We did a lot of this evening. We did a lot of the bronze armor. We messed around with some of the wings as well. That was pretty fun. But yeah, today we're gonna work on those iron tones. We're gonna work on the poo stick as well, and Grant's big old sword. Yeah, nice. Okay, Gail, you're working on, or Yale, sorry, you're working on Angron. Nice. Ferrarity making your second box of Zerks. Hell yeah. I have made 2 Berserkers for my first box, so you've gotten a lot more done than I have. Yeah, we did do a lot yesterday. And over the last couple of days. I think you might have missed maybe 2 streams, Yale. I'm not sure exactly. We did some work over the last few days. The wings are looking nice, but I'm not going to paint more of them on stream tonight just because everyone's kind of seen what we're doing with those, and it would get a little bit tedious if we were just repeating the same kind of sort of template and stuff, just doing it on different wings. So we're going to move on to the iron tonight so people can see that process, see how it goes. Yeah, the berserkers are pretty fun to make. I put 2 together, the 2 with the eviscerators, just because I need those guys ASAP. I'm gonna look at the rest of the kit after my tournament because I want to give it like some good time. Maybe make up some conversions or something like that. But I mean, it looks about as versatile as the standard Legionnaires kit from the Chaos Space Marines, so that's good. We like that versatility. And yeah, your Angron's gonna go fine. I mean, Angron's not terribly difficult to paint. It's like we were kind of saying yesterday. A lot of Angron is like basically as difficult as you want it to be. He's a real nice model with a low kind of skill ceiling when it comes to painting. Not low skill ceiling, low skill floor, high skill ceiling. Got the hands done, Mark. That's hella good, bro. Hella good. Actually, I saw you posted those on Instagram, right? They were pretty sweet. Well, we were making some progress, Mark. I don't know if it's great progress. I have a lot of games lined up this weekend, so I'm gonna lose a lot of time, unfortunately. But I have to learn how to play the new book as well as paint the new models. So we get there when we get there. Got a fun game tomorrow against Blood Angels. That should be good. And then we're playing Tyranids on Sunday. My favorite army. And I think we have another game on Monday lined up as well. So yeah, it's all happening. You still don't know what the Codex does? Do you play 40k, Yale? Oh no, you do. You sent in the picture of you playing the Eldar today. For a while, I thought you played only 30k. What the Codex does is it helps your army run forward really fast and run into the opponent and then run through the opponent and then it dies. So it's kind of like what we did before, but much better. But from the games I've played so far, I think the play path is really fun now. Like it's a lot more. Yeah, the Codex screams loudly and charges. That is a really good summary of what it feels like. The play path is a lot more fun than it used to be, I think. And it rewards like really clever movement. I do think if you are running the Invocatus build, it's like maybe less rewarding because the win condition is like a lot easier. But I mean, it's still tons of fun. You just throw things forward and just have a good time. See what happens. I've had a lot of fun playing it so far. But I am also not running Invocatus, so I can't really speak to that playstyle. I know Mark has had a lot of, or not Mark, sorry, Ron has had a lot of success running it. I don't know if you've played any games yet, Mark. Got a game lined up against Templars and Custodes. Those are two interesting games to play against with the new book. I feel like Templars will be super bloody. Custodes will be interesting, but oh, you played two games, Mark? Who have you played against? Curious to hear how your games went. Yeah, for sure. Angron is much better in Europe or the UK, simply because the terrain layout is just so drastically different. I do think Angron is like functional in the US scene, but he is definitely much harder to use. So for anyone who doesn't know, um, in the UK and Europe, we use this thing. One of the terrain layouts that we have, well, actually, sorry, all the terrain layouts that we have has this one piece of terrain on the maps, which is a very, very big L. It's about 3 or 4 stories tall, and it completely blocks line of sight on every single floor. So what that effectively means is that Primarch models like Magnus, Mortarion, and now Angron can be completely hidden behind it, which means that you actually have effectively a condition depending on where you deploy, that your Primarch model won't be lifted in the first turn, which is nice. But the US scene does not typically have such buildings in their deployment maps. So that makes Invocatus a slightly better tech piece in the US compared to. I mean, like, he is still really, really good in the UK, but what it does is it makes Angron a valid choice in the UK and Ireland. Not necessarily even valid. I say that incorrectly. Because I think he's a valid choice no matter where you play. But it makes him much, much more competitive in the European and UK setting when you know that you can effectively start him on the board and make sure that he doesn't actually die. Which makes him incredibly powerful. Like, one of my friends, he went to a tournament about 6 months ago, which had one of these big pieces, and he brought Magnus, and he ended up coming third, which was awesome. So he had Magnus and a Mutilated Vortex Beast in his list, which is not something you see every day, but because of the terrain, he was able to utilize those pieces. Invocatus's build does not work into GSC. No. Because no matter what happens, the GSC rules caveat is that you cannot end your move within 9 inches of the blips. So basically, even with Invocatus's pregame move and everything, it's completely wasted because you can't end within the blips. And the things that the GSC player will most likely do is just be like, oh, those blips that were like screening out your entire move, they actually weren't any units at all. They were just dummy blips, which they can also do. I think they need a special character for it, but they usually take that one anyway. So yeah, I feel like GSC, if you're running the Invocatus builds, you got to be real clever. Otherwise, he just claps you hard. I did like Ron's descriptive of Genestealer Cult in the Discord yesterday. He was just saying that they're basically an army of drop pods that come down turn 2 and just blow you off the board, which feels pretty on point. Yeah, I think GSC is definitely better for us if we go second. But it's still not a good matchup, no matter what happens. I think GSC are just pretty strong now. In a world where Armor of Contempt is going away, their shooting becomes a lot more effective. I played into them for a little while. One of my buddies, he was maining GSC for a while, and yeah, those guys with the seismic charges could just lift the Black Rune Illusory Supplication Terminator brick, no problem. What have I missed in chat? Drakari are going to have a sad day? 100%. Yeah, I played Drakari last week. I don't think they have a very clear win condition into World Leaders. I don't know. It just doesn't feel good. They give up too many Blood Tide points. They can't really play the game they want to play. I'm not really sure how Drakari are supposed to perform against us or what that list would look like. I think maybe a super heavy Witch list that runs the Mortal Wound bounce back ability. But even then, you're really just limiting the eventual kind of loss, I think. It feels super rough. I think Drakari just ran out of things too quickly now. Hello, Rinse Gravity. What is up? Votann don't like needing to move, let alone move through angry world leaders. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Votann yet, so my opinion on them remains undecided. I also just don't think there's a lot of Votann around, at least where I am. People were not that interested in them. Which is fine by me because I hate Votann so much. Yeah, GSC are crazy to play into. It's an experience like no other. They like playing them is not like playing any other army in 40k. They have a lot of unique rules. Like, they will deep strike real close to you with a lot of stuff and just be like, "Yep, cool. I have lots of crossfire markers, and you are dead." You just got Angron. Yeah, so did a lot of people. I hope this is helpful. I mean, we're painting him in the standard colors, but we are doing a grimdark tint to him, and we are kind of taking him in our own direction in some areas as well. So yeah, hopefully this is useful. Like I said, I think someone asked me. I will be doing a supercut at the end of all this of all the footage, and making just a kind of maybe 20-minute, half an hour video of the main highlights of painting Angron, just to make it a little bit more accessible for anyone who misses the streams, because I understand that it's not necessarily the best time for everyone. But it's the best time for me, so that's what you're stuck with. We are getting this silver base coat laid down though, making some nice progress. Alright, let's just do the butcher's nails. You're watching when you're in the office? Tatos. How well do airbrush paints go on with a brush? Not very well. I used air paints once on a brush and it was kind of like using a wash. It's just not really, it doesn't really work, unfortunately. At least from what I found, maybe some other people have had better experience with it, but when I did it, it was not good. Does Galvorback Red come in air? That is the only thing that would get me to convert to airbrush painting, is if they made Galvorback Red in air. For anyone who doesn't know, this stream is sponsored by Galvorback Red, which is officially the best paint made by any company that makes paint. Fun lore fact as well, I only started using Galvorback Red last year. Bought my first pot and I immediately fell in love. Angron's nails look kind of funny. I think without the top piece to go on over his head, it looks a little bit weird. Part of me really wants to do one of the big cables with like hazard stripes, just to be like, oh, just in case people didn't know it was dangerous, we better mark this one out. What's the basing plan? I'm going to do like my normal War-Torn Wasteland base for this model. So lots of like barbed wire and broken kind of masonry and things like that. We're going to stick to something simple. But when I start working on my second Angron, we're going to go for a much more interesting kind of sculpted base with lots of Lots of Ultramarines hanging out in it, and Angron kind of running a train through them, killing everyone all around him. But yeah, for this one, we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to use the sculpted base that the kit comes with because it's quite nice. And yeah, we'll just add a little bit of our own details to it, but nothing too dramatic. The head is weird. Yeah, for sure, Giri. I think I enjoy the head more now that I actually have the model in my hands, but I don't know if that's me like kind of conditioning myself to like it more. I know when I'm working on my second one, I will be making quite a lot of changes to the head, both in the nails and in like the actual shape of the face as well, similar to what you did for yours. But you know, I'm gonna put my own twist on it as well. Not just gonna copy your work. And I have some ideas for how it's gonna look. But right now, like this one, we're just doing it straight out of the box, doing grimdark style. Just gonna bash it out, make it look nice, and then move it along. Give it to someone who will appreciate it more than I will. What is my opinion on the world leader symbols on Angron? Did he actually embrace that iconography? I think his Forgeral model does have some like similar iconography. I don't think he was particularly thrilled about the world leaders in general. I guess he did rename them into the world leaders though. But also, I feel like his brain is kind of made of soup in 40k, so I think Khorne probably slaps whatever armor he wants to on him, and Angron doesn't really have much of a choice about that. Also, I'm pretty sure that Angron's sense and fashion is severely limited in 40k, as this is like general cognitive ability. So I don't know if he knows so much that he's actually wearing anything that has world leader symbols on them. Yeah, the tail does look like a Carnifex tail. I mean, every kind of tail in 40k looks like it could be a Tyranid tail, though, right? One thing I need to check is how this upper armor fits on. I think it goes somewhere here. Yeah, okay, so we do need to do a bit more of this back armor. That's fair enough. And yes, for anyone noticing, I have not painted this piece of armor because if anyone was watching the stream yesterday, they will remember that I just completely forgot about it. You know, when this is done though, I actually think he's going to look pretty neat. to be honest. Kind of like the vibe that he's got going on right now. Let's pop it off for now though, and we will pencil in the silver metallic pieces on this one, which is mainly just the spikes. I actually think what we're going to do is make this entire trophy rack silver. It will help it kind of jump out from the model and mark it out as a trophy rack rather than just another piece of his bronze armor, because it feels like it's bolted on anyway. Do I ever consider putting LED features into my models? No, I have not. Mainly because I am not an electrician. But yeah, as you say, Mark, red LEDs inside the hood would be insane. Would be very, very cool. I'm not like, I really like when I see it done well, you know? When people put in the effort to like really add cool lighting features into their miniatures, it looks great. But I also see people like overdo it as well, because like sometimes the flare up from the lights can obscure a really good paint job, and that kind of annoys me when you see it, especially on like people who do it on marines that have like maybe like hellblasters or something like that with LEDs put in, and it just like completely overtakes the whole model, and you're not actually looking at the paint job, you're looking at the light. Like, it should really be a supplement to the paint job, not the main feature. And I think in a lot of cases it ends up being the main feature, but actually knowing when to draw that line can be quite difficult, because I think when you're doing it yourself, it can be very easy to get quite excited. But yeah, like you say, it's the same with OSL. When it's overdone, it's so overdone that it's just the main feature on the model. All these techniques and little things like that, they're meant to complement the other elements in your work, not be the main draw. Like, there is times that OSL can be the main feature when you're working on something real special, but at the end of the day, it's generally a nice little finishing move that you should use to, like, the way I always use OSL is to accentuate a piece, you know, to draw the eye to aspects that I want people to be looking at. So a lot of the time that's the head. I'll do in the lenses with OSL, so people are naturally drawn to a helmet or a head as the first thing they look to on a miniature anyway. So that's kind of just something that happens naturally. But with OSL, it kind of boosts that effect. People will really get pulled towards it. Like for Angron, what we're going to do is we're going to do OSL on his sword, so that people look to that, because I'm planning on doing a lot of blood effects there, and I want people to kind of to look to those and say like, hey, cool, they look pretty nice. Right, so let's do the bits and pieces here. There's not too much iron to do on these pauldrons, just these little spars at the end of the, what do you call these again? There's a word for these leather things. The name escapes me. You're not going to do any glow effects on the sword? Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I just have a lot of things that I want to do with the sword, especially because there won't be a sword on my second Angron. So I want this one to be quite enjoyable, because I'm just going to be getting rid of it on my other one. So I gotta do enough things for two swords on one to get it out of my system. No Plunja, no Mark. We are getting rid of the legendary demon sword Plunja for the second model. I gotta keep that forbidden lore secret to just the stream. Only you people can know. Carry the secret with you forever. But yeah, what we are going to replace it with is a modified version of Spine Grinder. A much bigger version of Spine Grinder. Think of it as a two-handed Spine Grinder, if you will. That's mainly because Spine Grinder is being replaced by a dead Ultramarine in Angron's hand. And if that sounds familiar, I think you're going to get an idea of what I'm going for. Because that Angron is going to be an homage to a certain piece of artwork, and it will also be my Golden Demon entry, so I want it to look really good. So there will be a hefty amount of conversion work for that piece, which essentially I'm going to be doing straight after I finish this Angron. And of course I will paint some Berserkers in 8-bound. Yeah, it's exactly like the artwork. Yeah, I'm effectively trying to replicate that image as an homage. See how it goes, and maybe it'll look really cool. Or maybe I just won't enter Golden Demon. Because it's probably going to be that binary, because I don't have time to paint a second miniature for Golden Demon. Unless I go with my initial idea and enter a Thunderhawk on ship from Aeronautica Imperialis. But that's just such a good meme. I don't know if I can actually do that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have cultists and loads of other stuff as well, yeah, for sure. Like the base is gonna be. I have some cool ideas for the base. I don't want to spoil anything because I kind of want it to be a big reveal. But I'm fine with telling people like the rough team that I'm trying to recreate that artwork. But I have some of my own ideas to put my own spin on it as well. And yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty cool when it's done. On that note, if anyone happens to have any of the spare lower jaws from Bellicor, hit your boy up because I'm in the market for some. For no particular or unrelated reason. Thank you for the offer of a lower jaw from your Angron, Guri. I think I'm okay. I have a specific one in mind that I want to use, which I should be able to track down. I think. Green stuff wizardry is not my strong point, no. So, although I am going to have to use it because I am also giving him alternative wings, kind of like what you did. Although not the same wings naturally. I have a different set of wings picked out, so. But that will require a little bit of green stuff work as well, and also just reposing his arms and things. It's going to require some sculpting of muscle. I really want to pivot his torso, but I think that would just be incredibly difficult. And if it goes wrong, I have just ruined an Angron model, which is not a cheap item to ruin. So I think I might try and leave off on the resculpt of the torso. Okay, let's get cracking into Spine Grinder. So just because you did it, Yale, doesn't make it easy. You are good at sculpting, and I am not. Although people seem to think I am, but that's a lie. Yeah, for sure, Yale. I would appreciate chatting about that sculpt at some point. Any pointers and tips would be major helpful. I also don't have a lot of time. Golden Demon is in May, first weekend of May. So I kind of have to get my stuff together for that. I appreciate that, Yale. Hopefully it will be nice, but we will see. We will see. What other hobby are people working on this eve? Anyone else working on hobby stuff? I'm curious to hear what is going on. Or is everyone just watching the process of base coating metallics on Angron? TJE, you're painting boarding action terrain? That's sick. That terrain looks super, super cool. I really want to play boarding action. It's one of those games that if I had like all the time in the world, I would for sure learn the system and find people to play with. Oh, that sucks for Rarity. I'm sorry your hobbying is over for now. Hopefully you're still enjoying the stream though. Your kid likes the scratching sound of the brush. Yeah, my brush is in pretty poor condition. That's why it's making that scratching sound. There is a lot of paint built up on it. For anyone who hasn't already observed, my brushes are in poor condition. I beat the crap out of them, and I'm very disrespectful to them. And that is why I do not buy Artist Opus brushes, because they would be absolutely wasted on me. They're super, super nice, and I just do not treat my brushes with enough respect to deserve an Artist Opus brush. Like, I would genuinely feel bad if someone got me an Artist Opus brush, because I would just be like, yo, this is like a waste. What you should have done is bought me like 100 like random dollar store brushes, basically, because and the speed I burn them. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure they're like the greatest of brushes. I totally agree. But that would not save them from the things I would do. I don't even know why like brushes are fall apart in my hands. I think I might just be really heavy on them. I think that is the metallics laid down in the spine grinder arm. We just have to do Angron's his random necklace, his drip. Gotta pencil that in. I hate painting pieces like this separately. They're so fiddly. Why am not I a fan of the Baywatch eaters? Fair rarity. I don't know where you've been, my friends. I was literally the person who invented the concept of the Baywatch world eaters. It was here on stream. We were hanging out, and I was saying, you know what, someone needs to do Angron and Disciples of the Red Angel, but all of them painted as Baywatch. That was my brainchild. And then yesterday we invented Angron's poo stick. So I feel like people hang out here and good things happen, you know? We come up with interesting and innovative ideas that no one else is daring enough to think of. Okay. Oh, yes, we must also do Samniarius, of course. Is anyone playing games this weekend? Any games of 40k? I have got two lined up. final practice sessions. I'm finding it really interesting to read people's reports from their first games of the World Leaders. I think most people find them really, really fun to play. I haven't really read of any bad reviews yet. Would be curious to see if any of you guys had any bad experiences playing the new World Leaders, or if you all found it quite fun. I think the consensus is it's pretty fun. You're playing 3 or 4 games tonight, Mark? That's crazy. I guess if it is the league, though. Are you testing the list that you're going to run for that major? Good evening, Jack. Good to see that you have joined. Read a few bad reviews on Facebook. Bro. Facebook reviews is not the place to be reading about your World Leader games, I think. No terrain on the table and the guy was shot to death. I am shocked. Next, you're going to tell me he was playing into Tower Imperial Guard. You're trying to decide if the 6's auto wound relic is worth it on the Master of Executions or just save the CP. I think you probably just want to save the CP. The more fight on death and 6-inch heroic intervention you can do, the better. And you don't really need the 6's auto wound, I think. At least that's my opinion anyway. You got a 1K game against the Necrons this weekend for Rarity? That's pretty sweet. Or Rin, was it? Yeah, it was Rin. It's pretty sick. Necrons are always fun to play against. Yeah, Jack has his first game tomorrow. He's going to lose it really badly. I predict the score is going to be 100-20 to his opponents. He's playing into Craftworld Eldar, which, you know, Craftworld Eldar are pretty amazing. And yeah, Jack's going to get the pants beaten off him, and he's going to drop from his event. This is my prophecy. Oh, your game tomorrow is going to be your first ever game with World Leaders, Rin? That's pretty hype. Don't be anxious about it, just have a good time. Hobbies back on. Let's go, fair rarity. Bring that hype. I cannot wait to grime up these chains later on. They're going to look so nice when they're all nasty. Hello, Bloodstone Fortress. You are wondering what my recipe for the brass was. Unfortunately for you, it's a complete secret, and if you didn't watch it yesterday, you're not going to get it. But for real, so what we did was we began with a base coat of Jet Exhaust Burnt Iron, a paint from Ammo Mig. And then we worked in some Retributor armor into that mix. Worked a little bit of that in gradually, dry brushing it on. And then we worked in a little bit of Canoptic Alloy to finish it off with some more dry brushing. And that was pretty much it. At least for now. We're going to work on that again a little bit later, but for now that's where we're leaving it. What list are you running, Rin? Why is it such a good meme? I need to know. Kenneth, what iron is that? This. Oh god, what am I using? This is gunmetal from Ammo Mig. I don't know if I actually said that. Yeah, we're using gunmetal at the minute. It's a good base coat. Nice dark iron to kind of dial it in. It dries reasonably matte compared to most other iron base coats, which I kind of like about it. It's just there to set a tone, really, a base tone. And we will work up from it from there. That is the first layer of the iron done. Woohoo, we did it. Now it is time to do some dry brushing. Wait, I'm lying completely. There's some iron on the wings. We need to go and do that. Whoops. Four rhinos with zerks and jackals and tumos. That's not a meme list. That's pretty cool. I mean, nothing there is bad, you know? Horde is fun to play. I play Horde as well. What about the shoulder pads, Mark? Yeah, I remembered them tonight. We did do the shoulder pads. There's not that much iron on them, thankfully. I haven't gone back to do the brass yet because we're going to do that off camera. You like the tearing in Angron's wings? Do you mean like the holes? and stuff. It's kind of cool. As you can see, we have not done the other side of the wing membrane yet. Because I'm being lazy and it takes so long, but it looks so nice when it's done. I really like that effect, but it's just so much effort. So much effort. We haven't even begun this wing. I'm probably going to try and get those done over the weekends. Potentially on stream, potentially off stream. I don't know. Do you guys want to see me do the wing membrane again? I feel like that might be a little bit boring, but if it's something that you want to see me repeat, I can do it again on stream. Otherwise, we might have to give me an evening where I'm not doing it. Just more streams. I mean, I have literally streamed every day this week. Yeah. I don't know how much more you want from me. What more can I give? I am hoping that the weekend streams are going to be a little bit more accessible to people because of time zone differences and stuff. You know, people won't necessarily be at work. Because I feel like this is great for the European folks, which is awesome, you know. But I feel a little bit bad for any of the US folks that want to watch the stream live because during the week it's just a time that is not good for them, right? You missed the first membrane rin? Yeah, sure. I mean, we can do it again. Like, I'm going to be doing it tomorrow anyway. So the question is, do you guys want me to stream tomorrow? Because I'm going to be painting the membrane tomorrow. So I'm either doing it live or I'm just doing it off camera. It doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm just conscious that people might find it boring. Okay. How difficult would an Illidan painted Angron be? I don't know what an Illidan is. You're going to have to explain that one, Fair. Okay, let's move on to some more dry brushing. make a poll in the Discord. The Discord has had enough of my polls, I think. I'm always making polls in there. Do I not know WoW? No, I do not play WoW. Jack is the one who plays WoW. The only games I play at the minute are... Well, actually, I'm not really playing any games in the minute. I'm too busy painting. But when I am playing games, I'm normally playing Halo or Dark Souls or some form of horror game. I really want to play the new Dead Space. That looks really fun. Wait, is a purple boy from WoW? Hang on. Let me look this up. I want to see. Illidan Stormrage. Oh yeah, that's basically how I'm painting my Be'lakor, actually. Pretty similar anyway. I guess it's like a lighter tone, but it's So how difficult would that be? Not at all. I've kind of already trialed it with Be'lakor. Actually, you should see Jack's Angron. He's painted like quite a purpley looking Angron. I think that might be the tone that you're kind of looking for. So it's not really that difficult. Yeah, I actually haven't played Elden Ring yet. I have had like no time to sit down and play video games in the last while. It's just been painting or, you know, making content or moving house, which I was doing as well. Yeah, it's just between this and like real life work and stuff, it's just been too busy to find the time to play games. But when I do, I will sit down and play Elden Ring and I will enjoy it. Because Dark Souls is like one of my favorite game franchises. So we're just dry brushing on, what is this? Polished metal from Ammo Mig. Going with a reasonably heavy dry brush to get some tone down on these metallic areas. And we'll come back in later after all the washes and stuff to kind of detail them out a little bit better. But for now, we just want to get a color down on these and get some shadowing going. So we're just really quickly going to dry brush across this whole area. Quite a slashy dry brush as well to try and generate some texture at the same time. We're kind of like almost stippling on the area or the metallics on these flatter areas as well to artificially generate some kind of weathering and wear and tear, while also generating some lighting at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. Nice. We are going to stipple a little bit of it onto the bronze armor in some areas as well, just to do a little bit of weathering, but that's going to be real light, just kind of like real quick passes like this. To a point that we almost won't see the effect. Have I shared my warband fluff on stream? I have not. I thought everyone knows my warband fluff. I feel like I never stop talking about it. I'm quite conscious of boring people by saying the same stuff over and over again, so I was under the impression people already kind of knew that vibe. But let me know if... Oh, whoops. Did I just totally forget this side of the armor? I guess I did. That's my bad. Pretty funny. Oh, I see why you asked that question, Fair Hardy. Yeah, my warband is based off of Dark Souls. As was my very first custom Space Marine Legion when I got back into Warhammer a few years ago. They were called the Ashen Marines. And so that is where several of my usernames come from. And kind of like what some people know me as online. Sort of like my online moniker. But my World Leaders warband is called the Cinder Host, which is also somewhat based off of Dark Souls. A little bit less on the nose, I guess. But there are some themes in there which are in line with some of the broader themes of Dark Souls. Maybe someday on stream we can do a story time, and we can talk about the war bands. It is pretty cool though. Like over the last year or so, the lore has really developed in a big way for the war bands due to several pretty cool factors. So one thing I was doing was when I was going to events, I was sort of using the events as like narrative jump points to accelerate the lore of my warband. So depending on the list that I would wrote, every list for every tournament had a bit of a theme in terms of like the units being selected, the HQs mostly, and kind of what that meant for the warband. Like, you know, cataloging its experience basically. And that was accelerating the storyline. And kind of at the same time, one of my roommates started really coming up with a lot of lore for his Blood Angels. So we started writing that together, like, because obviously we were always playing each other. So we were, like, in tandem writing an awful lot of lore for both of our custom, well, I suppose, custom company for him and custom warband for me. So it was really cool. We were bouncing off each other and coming up with lots of interesting ideas. And as a result, the lore really accelerated to the point where my lord became a demon prince, which was really, really cool. That was a big thing that we kind of built up for a long time between the two of us. And now his vibe is like he's basically trying to track down Angron and make him like answer for all the terrible things that has happened to the Legion. But like by extent, it's kind of like a sort of a tragic vibe as well because the more he commits to fighting against Angron, the further he ends up falling to chaos. Like basically, he had to like pledge himself to become a bloodthirster or become a demon prince so that he could even challenge Angron in the first place. So you know he's gradually falling to chaos as well. Like his chosen, they became possessed, which coincided with the release of the possessed kit. You know, all those kind of things. So it's trying to work it in with modern trends that are happening. So his kind of group split away from the main war host, which is led by a different guy, and he's kind of trying to reunite with Angron and bring the warband back into the main Legion fold. So currently, my warband is split into two. There was like a bit of a civil war. So we've got Morikost, who is the overall leader. He is trying to make his way back to Angron to reunite the Legion. So generally, when I'm running Angron, it's Morikost's group of Marines. And then when I'm running Macrolor, who is the Demon Prince, they're like the true renegades, the ones that are trying to hunt down Angron. And eventually I would love to play a narrative game where I run Angron against Macrolor and decide the inevitable fate of that kind of warband, which I think would be quite fun. But a lot of it is tied into my good friend, his Blood Angels. So you should check him out. He's Knight of Ball on Instagram. He's got loads of really cool lore about his Blood Angels up there as well. There is a particular deck company captain that is always hunting down my Demon Prince, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, it's really fun to accelerate the lore of my Legion and kind of use tournaments and games that I've been playing as a sort of vector to move that lore along. I apologize if that was a really boring tangent. I'm glad you folks like that tangent. Yeah, I mean, I tried to like tell a lot of the story of specifically Macrolor's ascension because he like don't tell my boy Morikos, but Macrolor is my real favorite. I tried to tell a lot of the story through various Instagram posts from the POV of his chosen, which then became possessed, building up to his own ascension. So I don't know if anyone was tracking that while I was posting them. But yeah, building Macrolor as a demon prince was a really big project for me. Like a kind of a big personal milestone goal as well, because there was a lot of really difficult things I tried to do with that model, and they ended up kind of coming off. And I was really happy with how the story came out too. Um, but yeah, he's quite cool. He's quite special to me, to be honest. Yeah, I really like that character. And someday when we get the website up and running, whenever that day may be, I intend to fully put down all the lore as a distinct story that people can actually just read, rather than me rattling off and kind of forgetting bits and pieces and not necessarily conveying the true kind of aspects of some of the parts of the story. Like there's this whole thing about the Bloodthirster that Macrolor allies himself to is actually the Bloodthirster that I run in my demons army, called the Pale Tyrants. And he's like against Angron because he basically Angron's kind of trespassing into his territory in the realm of Khorne. So he's using Macrolor as like a sort of a tool to do something about Angron. Obviously Macrolor doesn't know that, but he has this thing called the Butcher's Crown instead of the Butcher's Nails. It's like this more, I suppose, aggressive version of the Butcher's Nails. It's a much more dramatic piece. Anyone who's seen the model knows what I'm talking about. It's this really really big kind of helmet that sits over his head and kind of jacks him up on even more nails than normal. And he has a big axe called Angel's Bane, and the name is two-parter. It's Angel's Bane because of all the blood angels he's killed, who was like forged from their dead bodies and armor, and called Angel's Bane because one day will strike down the Red Angel himself. So that's a little bit of the taster of of the small section of lore that I've written for Macrolore, which in truth is ridiculously long. And thank you so much, Rinse Gravity, for the $20 donation. Let the Red River flow. Hell yeah. I haven't even begun told you about the real brains behind the operation of the Legion, which is my Dark Apostle, Kem Gregor, who was the one who actually orchestrated Macrolore's full our ascension to demonhood, because Macrolore didn't want it to happen. He was an unwilling participant in the ritual. But Kem Gregor, he's been a sneaky dude working behind the scenes, you know? Trying to twist the Legion slowly and convert it to possession, because he knows the only way that Angron's going down is if the Legion gives in to Khorne. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, you can get your goal, but at what cost? You know, because Macrolore hates what the Legion has become. But the only way he can stop it is by becoming the worst part of what he sees as the kind of cost of becoming a traitor. So it's one of those kind of classic Warhammer tragic backstories where there are no winners, especially not the protagonist. Meanwhile, my boy Morikos, the guy who's actually leading the Legion, he's just kind of trundled off back to Angron, and he's like, well, this is a pretty good vibe. We're literally winning every fight because we have a Primarch on our side. So like Loki, he's having a great time, but the bad thing for him is that he's a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, so he is currently illegal. So he's in the retirement club at the minute. He's just having a great time on some demon world, just hanging out, you know, watching all the gladiator fights going by. Angron's going to call on him at some point, but he's just having a good, relaxing, rejuvenating break at the minute. I feel like people might think that I'm a competitive player, but maybe the last like 20 minutes there has illustrated the fact that I actually really, really like lore and narrative, especially writing my own. Um, so yeah, that was pretty fun. Don't even get me started on the lore for the Mortals army, because that's a whole other thing. Your mind about me has been changed, Dale. Hopefully in a good way. Hopefully in a good way. I love me. Love writing lore. Do I have a character named or titled the Ashen Marine? I have a few. Well, okay, not a few. So Morikost's title is the Charred Tyrants. Um, Macrolore's demon form, I think he's called the Phoenix of Ash, is his title, I believe. But yeah, I've got a lot of Dark Souls references scattered in there. Like one of the things that I really really want to do. I'm not sure if I should say this one yet, or maybe keep it for a surprise. But I'm doing some conversion projects based off Dark Souls bosses. Let's just leave it at that for now. Which may pop up from time to time. So, like when I say like the warband is based off of Dark Souls, I mean it in a very loose sense, where it's like I really like the kind of tragic, sort of no one ever wins in Dark Souls. You know that kind of vibe where like you're always slightly going insane, no matter what you try and do, and even getting towards the end of your quest means that you go insane anyway. Like that's kind of the idea behind Macrolore is like he wants to get to the end of this quest where he fights Angron, but the cost of that quest is basically going to end up being him becoming everything that he hated about the Legion anyway. So he just loses as well. So that's kind of the idea behind that. You know, it's sort of like loosely inspired by Dark Souls, but then at the same time, I will also just have guys that are very heavily inspired by different types of Dark Souls. Like my Master of Executions, he is prime Dark Souls material because his big axe is just such a Dark Souls boss weapon where it's like way too big for his body, but it kind of still works just because of the vibe, I guess. One character I really want to make, and I will get around to making him pretty soon, I think, is I can't remember what he was called. He's in Dark Souls 2. He like chases you around the place. Is it the Punisher or the Seeker? It's the guy with the really, really big shield and the sword. You fight him pretty early on in the campaign, and then he comes back a couple of times. I really want to build a Master of Executions based off that guy. I think that would be a lot of fun. The Pursuer. That was his name. Yeah. Really cool enemy. That guy was he was such a griefer. That was back when I was like a kid and not really able to play Dark Souls very well. Man, that guy made me rage at my screen so many times. Cool guy though. I always like how there was never really like that much lore about him. I always wanted to find out more. Just like who is this dude? And it's just like, oh, he hunts the chosen undead. Are you gonna give me anything else? Nope. That's it. He just hunts you, and you just have to deal with that. Okay, guess I will. to freshen up our paints. I find the more you kind of pass over with this, these metallic tones from Ammo Meg, the smoother the finish is. Okay, let's polish off these wings. Just gonna be a little bit careful about dotting on this silver layer, as surface area is pretty small. Mo v Mo v Mo. I think you should just have a competition to see who can execute the most. All right. That is that layer of iron laid down. Basically, what we're probably going to do is call the stream there, because we've been streaming for about an hour and a half. But I will just be essentially putting another dry brush layer down on those silvers. It will be a layer called, it's just called steel. I have the pot here. I'll show you folks. This guy here, just called steel. So that would be the final layer. It's actually a very, very bright silvery color. So that's going to serve as a highlight for all these iron areas. But, we'll take a look at what we've done with Angron today. He's really starting to come out there now. Like, we don't really have too much other base things left to do. We have the bone and leather, which is a real pain in the butt to do. I really don't like doing that. But we are going to have to do it at some point. I think we are going to have to accept that real soon. And we have the organic cabling as well. Some of it around the butcher's nails on the top and that kind of stuff. But yeah, once we get that done, we're down to starting to do the washes and things like that. And that's when we're really going to start getting very grimdark. But yeah, I'm going to finish the silver tones off camera. But thanks everyone for hanging out this evening. It was another really fun stream. Really appreciate the super chats as well, because that helps us keep doing this sort of stuff. So yeah, really, really appreciate those. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And thank you everyone for just hanging out in general and having a good time. Keeps me going. And I hope the stream was fun. As always, if you have any suggestions or ways of improving the stream, let me know in the content suggestions section of our Discord. If you're not already in the Discord, please join it. The link should be in the video description. It's a great time. Lots of fun to be had there. But yeah, I think we will probably be back to streaming potentially tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then definitely Sunday. But yeah, thank you very much for hanging out, folks. And until the next one, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill me and burn.